friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am setting up my bullet journal for February, and I think this is the first time ever that I am going with a romantic theme for February, with like pink and hearts and all of that. So this will probably be my most Valentine's themed February spread ever, and I'm actually not mad about it. I usually say that I don't like Valentine's themes, and that's kind of still true. I think that it can pretty easily get very tacky with like too many hearts and all of that. But I think that my theme turned out quite cute actually. So yeah, I'm very happy about it. I hope that you guys will like it as well. As you can tell, I'm just getting straight into it. I'm actually experimenting a lot this month, and that's all thanks to my B5 notebook, which is a lot larger than what I'm normally used to using. You're probably sick of hearing me say that because I've been saying it in like my past 3 bullet journal videos, but that's just how it is. So right now I am working on my cover page, and I am drawing these roses. They're supposed to be roses. I hope they look like roses. And I am using a Copic multi-liner. I think the color is called Wine, so it's this like dark, almost purple pink, and I thought I would use that for this setup just because it gives a very different vibe than a black fine liner. Unfortunately, I only have one size in this fine liner, so everything is made in a 0.3 fine liner, but you know, you gotta use what you have sometimes. For this month's setup, I am actually making waterfall tabs, I think they're called. They're kind of like Dutch doors, but also kind of like tabs, so that's why you're seeing all those washi tapes in the top right corner here, because I was testing which washi tapes would go together for all the tabs, because they'll all be visible when I look at my cover page and like have my journal open. This will all make sense in a little bit, I promise. But yeah, so I just made this kind of border of roses or bar of roses here at the end, and now I am taking my scissors and cutting into my journal. This was actually quite hard because the paper is very thick, so I was trying to cut it as close to the roses as possible, but still not cut through the line that I drew, if that makes sense. And then I am getting started on the waterfall tabs. So I measured everything ahead of time so that I knew that 1 centimeter of washi tape would be visible. It's not completely accurate because the grid isn't the same on all of the pages, so in the end you'll see that there is a slight variation in how much of the washi tape is visible at the end, but it's okay, it's not that big of a deal. So I just cut the first one just to like see what it would look like before getting started on the rest of my cover page. And just like last month, I am doing a collage for my cover page. This time it's all pink though, so I dug through all of my stationery, new and old. Some of the stuff you guys have actually gifted to me. I tried to find as much pink and roses themed stationery as I could, and also a little bit vintage but not too vintage because I wanted mostly pink and white for this theme and not so much beige, but I did end up using some beige after all. The centerpiece of my cover page is this girl sticker that you're seeing, the girl with the roses around her kind of, and this is the vinyl sticker that I am sending to my patrons this month, or it's one of the vinyl stickers because this month all of my Charles and Twin Charles patrons are getting double Happy Mail, and that's because I changed the schedule for when I send out the Happy Mail. Usually it's in the beginning of the month, and then for this month, for January, I would normally have sent out stuff that corresponds with my January theme in my bullet journal at the beginning of the month, but I'm changing it to the middle of the month. So now I'll be sending out the February themed stuff in the middle of January instead. But since I changed it, I am sending out both January and February themed stuff in the middle of February. That means that Charles patrons are getting actually 4 sticker sheets and 2 vinyl stickers, and Twin Charles patrons are getting 8 sticker sheets and 4 vinyl stickers. So This is actually probably the best month to be a Charles patrons, and there aren't that many spots left for this month, so a lot of patrons upgraded this month because of this deal. So, you know, if there's ever a month you should join my Patreon, it's probably this month, January. But that's all for my shameless Patreon plug for this video, I think. You can see that I finished the collage on the left side. I tried to not make it too overpowering. It's still quite large and I still used quite a lot of stickers and ephemera, but I tried to keep it kind of to the top 2/3 of the spread, and then I am writing February below it. February is the most difficult month to pronounce in English, I think, because you're not saying the R. At least Americans don't say February. As far as I can tell, they all say February. So that's what I'm saying. In Norwegian, we say februar, which is superior, I think. Anyway, my font for this month is kind of just like a fake script kind of, so I'm just like filling in the thicker parts with my fine liner and make it look a little bit more like a printed font, if that makes sense. I thought that hand lettering would look really nice, but at the same time it might get a little bit messy, so that's why I went for the kind of typewriter, almost like Times New Roman style. And I like how it turned out. It did take quite a bit longer than hand lettering all the titles would have taken me, just because of my thin fine liner, because it is a 0.3, so very thin, and I had to like make all those tiny little lines to fill in the letters, so that would be something that I might have done differently if I were to do this again. And then I came to the point where I had basically two choices. I could either color in the roses and have that kind of be a counterweight to the collage, or I could fill in the background of the page to make it all fit together a little bit more nicely and bring some more color to the page. And I chose to do a background, and I think it works on the spread. I think it works on the next spread, but then after that it kind of went overboard a little bit and got a little bit out of hand, but you'll see that later. But anyway, I'm just making this grid kind of, so I'm starting with the horizontal lines and I'm using a zebra mild liner. This is a pink that is from their newest pack, I think. So I'm just making some horizontal lines, some vertical lines, and then I went in afterwards with the fine tip of a Tombow dual brush pen to create more of a grid. So I know I skipped through that quite quickly, but it's really not that hard. I went according to the grid in the notebook, so I didn't measure or anything, and it was quite simple. The biggest challenge for me when creating these spreads and the waterfall tabs is that you never have the same amount of space on the left and the right side of the spread, because you cut off a portion of one page and then you flip it over and you cut off a smaller portion of the next page, which means that your left page will always have less space than the right page. This is one thing that I didn't really consider before making the setup, and I just like started noticing when I was sketching in the spreads that, oh, this is different, this is unusual. But it worked out. It's fine. I did put washi tape on both sides of the spreads just so that it would kind of blend together a little more nicely. But I think that if I hadn't done that, I would have a bit more equal space on both sides. So I guess that's up to you if you want to put washi tape on both sides or not. I chose to do it, but I think it could have worked just as fine without doing that. I did have to kind of plan out how many spreads I would use for this month before setting up all of them, and I guess I will find out throughout the month if I planned enough space or not, so you know, that will be an experience. Here I am just making my calendar spread, which is very important to me. Last month I put the calendar spread together with the cover page, but this time I didn't do that because I was doing the waterfall tabs and I thought it would look nicer with more tabs, if that makes sense. My calendar is basically taking up the entire spread, and this is the smallest spread in the setup because it has like the the biggest cutoff, I guess, for the waterfall tab. And for the grid, I am using my stencils from Notebook Therapy to create these little frames. So instead of having a regular grid, I decided to spice it up a little bit and use the stencil for that. As you know, I am a huge fan of Notebook Therapy, and my notebook is from there as well. And if you want a little discount, you get 10% off with my affiliate code mochibujo10, and you support me at the same time. I wrote February the same way as I did on the cover page, and I guess I didn't think this through completely, but the F and I think the E as well is actually visible from the cover page and onto this spread, and it does look a little bit messy that you can see part of the collage on the left side, but not all of it. But you know, this is a learning experience for me because I've never done this before. I've never made waterfall tabs before, so I don't really mind. And all of the things that I'm doing now that I don't like, I can just change for the next time when I'm making waterfall tabs again, which I don't know when that will be. Probably not for March, just because I like to switch things up, but maybe for another month. Of course, I needed some decorations on the spread, and I started out with kind of a simple collage in the areas that didn't have grids or like boxes for the days, if that makes sense. So like top left corner and then bottom right corner. But in the end, I thought that I should bring the grid from the cover page over onto this page so that it would blend more nicely with the part of the cover page that is visible on the other side. So that's what I ended up doing. And yeah, it does look a little bit overwhelming, I think. It's not terrible, but it is, you know, it's a lot of color. But I think that with the boxes being white and not having like any decoration in them, I think that they are still, you know, quite visible and easy to see. And that's kind of what's most important, that they are easy to see. For my little collage, I did use some washi tapes from the Vintage Rose collection from Notebook Therapy. And then I used some scrapbooking paper from Paper Monogatari and from Notebook Therapy. And the little bow stickers, they are from Lila Journals. I really love them, and they were just perfect for this setup because they're like so romantic. A lot of the smaller stickers that you see in this setup I actually bought in Japan. I bought them at Loft and Tokyo Hands, like this sticker sheet right here. I think I bought that in Loft, so I'm not sure exactly where you could get them online, unfortunately. And that's kind of it for the calendar spread. We'll have a closer look at it at the end of the video in the final flip through, don't worry. This next spread is going to be my habits and my tasks list. If you watched any of my other bullet journal, like plan with me videos, you know that I love having lots of room for tasks. That is what I mostly use my bullet journal for, is like a task list or a to-do list. So that's what I did, and I have a habit tracker on the left side. I kind of picked up my habit trackers again lately. They come and go in waves, I think, or like the feeling of needing a habit tracker or wanting a habit tracker. And right now I'm in one of those periods of my life that I want to have a habit tracker. So I just wrote habits, and then I started decorating my habit trackers. I used a stamp from Notebook Therapy for the little calendars, and then I made little collages along the rest of the page to kind of fill the empty spaces. But I will say that I ended up kind of overfilling this spread, and I think that's not just something that I subjectively think because I made it. I think objectively this habit tracker page turned out a little bit too full of things. I could have easily just left it at the collage, but I just had to incorporate the grid from the previous pages, and it was a little bit too much. You'll see in a sec what I mean. But here I am just making little collages next to each calendar, and then I cut out a little piece of paper from some of the paper that I cut off to make the waterfall tabs, and then I use those for the habits that I want to track. So I have like one next to each of the little calendars, and then the task list is pretty much just like one big rectangle where I'll put all of my tasks. And then here you can see me making the background and just filling it up completely. And, you know, I love pink, but maybe this was a little bit too much pink just for this specific spread. So yeah, there's that. But you know, we are our own biggest critic, isn't that what they say? Maybe it's not as bad as I think. Anyway, I did let the grid rest for the rest of the setup. So this is me just finishing up the habit and task spread, and then we're moving on to the very last spread that I am setting up in this video. I mean, you can see that I have quite a few more spreads for this month, but I was losing daylight and I thought I will finish those at another day. I do usually make my weekly spreads throughout the month, so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Here you see me making my first weekly spread, which is the 5th week of the year, which is why it says week 5 and not week 1. Everyone has their own preferences for week numbers. Here in Norway, it's very common to number the weeks. I know that's very common in the Nordic countries. I don't know about the rest of the world. But yeah, so week 5 of February. I feel like I have the perfect amount of space for this week on the spread. It's a very simple setup, just some boxes for each day, and it'll be quite good because this week I will actually be traveling, so I won't need that much room in the spread, mostly for travel information and some work stuff that I'll be doing on the road, because that's kind of how I live my life. Compared to the rest of the setup, this spread is actually super minimal. I did decorate it a little bit after I was done with the lettering. I have like a small strip of washi tape and then a little sticker that kind of looks like a collage, like the sticker is meant to look like a collage, and I thought that that was kind of enough for the spread. And then I used the same zebra myliner as I used for the grid to write the dates in the big squares. So starting on January 30th and then February 1st through the 5th, which is that whole week. And then I used my Copic multiliner to write the first letter of each day. So M for Monday, T for Tuesday, and so on. And I went over it twice to make it a little bit thicker. And if I'd had a thicker fine liner in this color, I would have used that. But here we are with the thin one again. I don't know if I necessarily like the look of this layout, but it is very convenient because it's super easy to set up. And it's kind of exactly what I needed for this week. Like nothing too fancy because I won't be using it that much. And then on the left side, I am making a little page for content for February. This will have a little calendar and then a little box where I can write down the videos that I'm making this month and other content that I just need to write down. Sometimes you just need to write things down, you know? Whether it's like actual projects that I'm doing or if it's just ideas, it's nice to have a space that's dedicated just to that. So that's what I'm doing. I will say that my content planners or my content spreads are probably my least used spreads every month, but I still like making them and it's still nice to have it there, even if I only write a few sentences or like a few keywords or bullet points every month. So maybe a little bit of waste of space. I don't need a whole page probably, but it's kind of nice to have it still. So you can see it just has a simple calendar up top, and then I made a little collage to kind of go in between, and then there is a box at the bottom where I write stuff, and I just, you know, decorated with some heart stickers. The heart stickers are actually my favorite stickers this month. They're really cute. I bought them in Japan. They come in tons of different colors, but a lot of them were pink, and so they fit perfectly. And that's it for my setup this month. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I think it's very exciting to have the waterfall tabs. I'm very excited to start using it, and I quite like how it looks with the waterfall tabs, even though there's a lot of color going on. There's a lot going on in general, you know? Let me know in the comments what you think and if you've ever made waterfall tabs in your own journal and what you think of it. A big thank you to everyone who watched this video all the way to the end. Make sure you put a rose emoji in your comment to let me know that you watched until the end. And a big thank you to my patrons this month. You are making my life amazing and I am so grateful to have all of you. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already and click that like button because it really helps my channel and it helps the algorithm pick up my video, you know, that famous algorithm. I hope that you're all having a wonderful start to the new year. We are still in January, so a lot can change still, but I hope that you're enjoying your time. Again, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a lovely day and I'll see you next time. Bye!